Hi, this is Christine with Zeidman Development. Today I'd like to walk you through some of the options available to you for integrating Volunteer Hub and the Razor's Edge using Importacular. Let's click on our data source and take a look at those options. So you can see here we have three different areas that we can import data from. We can import the users out of Volunteer Hub, and we can work with a drop down here to say users with changes since a certain date. We can import events, and we have a drop down here that allows us to select the event we want to work with. Or we can work with an event group, and we can select here what that event group is. Today I'm going to walk you through options for an event. So I'm going to select my event and click OK. And that's going to download that data so that I can then choose from my templates and work with that. So if you have no templates, you can use the green circle with the white plus sign in order to build a template. Or if you have templates, you can select your existing template from the dropdown. I do have two existing templates for Volunteer Hub. I have my Volunteer Hub Constituents, and that works with that users area. And then I have my Volunteer Hub Events, and that's what we're going to work with today. So once I click on my template, I then have the option here to edit the template, and that's what we're going to do to take a look at that template. So you can see here when we open our template on this first tab for constituents, I have a mapping for a constituent. I also have a mapping for a constituent code. I could add any of these other areas if I wanted to, and if those things are appropriate for you, you may want to do that. Let's go ahead and look at what I have on my constituent. So my constituent mapping has the name of constituent just to keep it easy for me to find any issues that could happen. And you can see that I've mapped the date of birth to the birth date field. I've mapped a first name to the first name field. I have a gender, a last name, a middle name. We have a field in Volunteer Hub that says, what is your nickname? And that field has been mapped into the nickname field here. And I also have addressee and salutation and a title. You can see in that far right column that there are red and green radio buttons. Those are our field settings that work with changes to each field. And you can, when it's green, you can see that there are settings on that field. So let's take a look at the settings on the first name field. So you can see that for the first name, I have chosen to only update new constituent records. And then I've also chosen to use a proper casing on that. So that will correct any situations where people type in all caps or lowercase. And it will also not update records that exist already in Razor's Edge. I've made this choice because I don't want to overwrite first names with nicknames or things like that. I want to trust what's in Razor's Edge more so than what's in Volunteer Hub. You can choose whatever would be appropriate for you. So let's go ahead and close this mapping. And let's take a quick look at that constituent code mapping. So you can see here that I didn't have any field in Volunteer Hub that told me the constituent code, but I know that all of these are volunteers because they are people coming out of Volunteer Hub. So I've given everyone the default code of volunteer here. Now, if I wanted to make sure that I only added that to specific records, or if I updated things, I could work with my area settings on the tab here to say that I want to add the code no matter what, that I want to add the code only when no other code exists. I can use the dates as a way to match codes, and I can also say only add this to new constituents, only add this to constituents who exist if they don't have any other codes. I have some options here as well. I'm going to leave them as they are. The next tab that has some data for these volunteers is our address tab. So you can see here that I've mapped an address for home. So if we open that, we can see this is their home address. I've also mapped an email address, a work address, and a cell phone. So these are just some different options of things that you can work with from that data that's coming directly from Volunteer Hub. Finally, I have mapped some different areas under the volunteer information. So our version of Volunteer Hub had information for an emergency contact. So I've got that mapped here so that you can see the name of their emergency contact. Our Volunteer Hub also had some skills, so I've mapped that to the skills. We've got some interests that are talking about things that the volunteers are interested in working with. So we have added that here. And we've also added some hours on the timesheet because we had their date and we do have the number of hours that they've worked. So we've gone ahead and added that. You have plenty of other options if you would like to use those. Anything that's available in the source fields here is something that you can map. So why don't we go ahead, reopen this hours and just take a quick look at that map. So all of the areas that you can map when working with the volunteer event are in this drop down. So you may see some in this that you would like to work with that I have not. Where you also would see some other fields depending on the fields that you have created. So these are just the options that are available for you, and you can map them to the different areas that you have in Importacular. I hope that this has been helpful for you to see what options are available for you in integrating Volunteer Hub with Razor's Edge. Thanks for joining us today.